What's up, everybody? Mitchell and Kyle here with the Trading Post. We are back with a few guests here for the second episode of the Review Step podcast. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Brodenkainen or Brodey. I do a lot of TCG content.
Yeah, and I'm James from Response on Play. We do the same. We do Cyberpunk, Riftbound, UNIVERSUS.
In that same vein, talking about all those card games that you play, today's episode is going to be focused on playing a bunch of different card games, both competitively, casually, and from a content perspective, what that looks like, because all of us have a lot of experience with cards, and I think we're going to go around and talk about, first, what was the trading card game that got you into cards?
It was actually UNIVERSUS. UNIVERSUS, I think out of everyone here, I'm the newest card game player. I started playing UNIVERSUS like 2 years ago now, so I'm like super new. As a kid, I dabbled in Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And everything, like every kid does, but never actually playing, just like playing as you see it in the TV show, right?
Of course.
And then UNIVERSUS was kind of like that stepping stone, and then going into like Magic, and then Riftbound from there, and then trying a bunch of other different card games along the way, but those are kind of just like my big three, and then the Cyberpunk TCG, which isn't out yet, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for me, I think it was really, I have to say Pokemon, even though I didn't actually play Pokemon, because I collected it as a kid, and then as I kind of got more interested in it, I would watch like Pokemon tournaments online, and then I would be like, I didn't have anybody to play with though, so then I would like create the decks that I see online and just like goldfish them by myself, kind of. But then when I got when I moved out and I got some roommates, we played Commander all the time.
Nice.
So the actual one that got me playing cards was probably Magic, because we just played Commander like all the time. But I think the one that got me interested in the idea of playing card games was Pokemon.
Nice.
I'm definitely aging myself with this one. So when I was 9, I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! At the most competitive a 9-year-old could play. I would go to my weekly tournaments, I would play the advanced format, and I was pretty up with it. Never won games, but I think that's where the start for my like love of card games started. Obviously, I opened Pokemon packs when I was really young, and then took a bit of a break, then dove really hard into Magic when I got into high school. But definitely Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the first one. So
Nice. Yeah, similarly for me, I had, in the same vein like everybody did, where we opened packs of Pokemon, we like watched Yu-Gi-Oh! Or whatever. I didn't know how to play anything.
Right.
But when I was in high school, a couple of my friends were just playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In the library, and I went, I didn't know you could actually like play that game. And they were like, yeah, let me show you this, that, and the other thing. And they go, do you want us to like help you build a deck? And I was like, yeah, sure. And they were like, what kind of deck do you want to play? And I replied, Dragons, like Joey Wheeler would say.
Dragons.
And they were like, what does that mean? And I went, Dragons. So I think that was around the time of like the retrained Blue Eyes structure deck, not like the newest one, but the one that had like Azure Maiden or whatever in it.
the one from like 10 years ago?
Yeah, the one from like 10 years ago. Jesus, that's crazy. That's crazy. Anyways, yeah, welcome to the I'm Old Yusuke podcast.
Quick 1,000-yard stare.
Yeah. But yeah, like very similar vein of I had always played with cards before, but then learning that there were competitive ways to play cards, started doing that, and then eventually through like playing this game and then playing a different game with friends and then playing a different game with friends, found my way to UNIVERSUS. And just happened to be stars aligning moment where they got the My Hero IP and like rebranded functionally as the My Hero card game for a couple of years. And I went, well, that's my favorite show right now, so I will play that one only. And also very fortunate, tripped and fell into having friends that were very good at the game already. So if I wanted to get better, the tools and the practice were there as opposed to not having like a play group.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that was UNIVERSUS is what kind of got me back into it in like the most recent state, because after I moved out from my roommates, I again didn't have anybody to play with, so I just kind of sat around with my cards and didn't really do anything. And then my buddy Brian was like, hey, you like My Hero, there's a card game for it, come play it at my house.
Yeah.
And I did, and then that started everything of where I'm at now. I like go to all these UNIVERSUS events, and it's a great time, and I would not do that without this game probably.
Yeah. And we don't have to always say UNIVERSUS. It's not like a paid actor podcast, unless you're specifically Brodey.
Listen.
That's crazy.
But,
Play UNIVERSUS, play UNIVERSUS.
Play UNIVERSUS. Please play UNIVERSUS.
Please interact
at
with all the
RLC.
socials this weekend.
But what games of like all the ones that you have played in the past, currently are playing, or will play in the future, in the case of Cyberpunk, are you guys the most excited about moving forward?
I am really big into Riftbound right now. I love Riftbound. I've never touched League of Legends. I have played.
You're lucky. So.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm keeping my sanity.
The one, yeah.
Don't.
I've played like 2 games of Wild Rift, I think, but like I'm obsessed with everything around the game. Like Arcane is awesome, KDA is awesome. Shout out Nate. The cinematics, everything, so cool. And then because UVS Games has a hand in it, it was kind of like an easy shoe in. Like, hey, I'm familiar with this company and this game. I can just jump into this one too. And it has so much unique gameplay mechanics, and it has the 4-player game mode, which is my favorite way to play. It's just like a little bit of a dumbed down commander because there isn't such a large card pool. So there's a lot of growth for the game, which I'm really excited about. And there's a lot of room to make content on the game, which I'm also really excited about.
Yeah, it's also an interesting point that you bring up because in development, it was originally pitched and built as a 4-player model.
I believe they started 4-player and then worked down because people were like, oh, we want to play this competitively too. And with the North American audience,
somehow they went, it seems like for some reason people would like to play League of Legends more.
Crazy,
outside of China. That's crazy. Who could have ever imagined that? But yeah, working backwards and like seeing the bones of this was designed for 4-player and all the cards in standard 1v1 format read that way and feel that way in the case of like a Cathian Rain and a bunch of other stuff like that is really cool to see, like instead of working backwards going, no, this is what it was supposed to be from the whole time.
Right.
And especially focusing less on the competitive side and more on the casual side.
And they already have their handful of like party cards. Like everyone at the table does a thing. Like you're never playing that 1v1.
Yeah.
So that's clearly those cards are in mind for either 2v2 or 4-player. And it's a little different because like with Commander, you can play 1,000 Commander games and someone brings new cards and new decks every single time. With Riftbound right now, we're only 2 sets deep, about to be 3. You're maybe seeing like 10 to 20 different decks like between a couple different games. Yeah, so as the game grows, I think that 4-player format will become a lot more fun, a lot more like content friendly too.
Yeah. What about you? What was the one that you were the most excited for?
Most excited about for the future for me is definitely going to be Cyberpunk. We've been lucky enough to kind of work with them and do a lot of stuff on our channel about that. Getting some of the cards like physically early was a big boon for us because we can actually play the game and see how it feels. And I can see the bones that are there. At the moment, of course, we've only got like 40 cards of the like 150 card set that's been revealed yet. So we don't know all of the mechanics and how exactly everything's going to interact with each other. So that's really what's got me like most excited is seeing those cards come out, how the game develops, how deck building develops and things like that. But just from like a base structure of playing the game, rolling the gig dice, the back and forth play of it, I'm really excited to see where it goes, and hopefully it is awesome.
Yeah. In a similar vein of talking about how just limited card pool kind of really shapes how you play or interact with the game in general. You, I think, took like a phone call earlier this morning, unrelated, and then I made a joke to Brodey. I was like, more Cyberpunk cards. a second Cyberpunk spoiler is the internet. But it's that's always like really fun, especially from the social media standpoint of things. And content creating is you guys get the opportunity to, in that frenzy, in that flurry, kind of decide like what's worth making content about, what's like versus like getting clicks, or if it's something that you're like super passionate about, like, oh, I'm actually really interested in this new character that got spoiled or these new cards that got spoiled, and it leads to these things that we can theorize about the whole set, and like having even something as insignificant or small on the like bottom left hand corner of a card saying X number out of 170 being like, this is huge, this is crazy.
I mean that was like really big for me, is just like that excitement factor, because like I like Cyberpunk like as like a IP, because like I played the game twice, I watched the anime, I'll probably watch it a second time before the second season comes out. So seeing like these characters adapted into a card game and seeing how they do it is like really cool. And yeah, like you're saying, I mean, deciding what is like worth talking about and being able to be excited about that is really cool. Like seeing there's like 4 different colors in the game, and so looking at like the very limited amount of spoilers that we have and trying to parse out what each color is going to do, it's like really fun. Like me and my buddy sat down the other day and talked about it for like 15 minutes of like, I think red is going to do discard and stuff like that. And it's just really cool to kind of be in that early stages of you don't actually know what the game's all about. So everything is like fresh and exciting.
For sure. And similarly with Riftbound, it's like you can kind of, not so much you because you've never played the game before, but a lot of people's favorite thing to do in like Riftbound spoiler season is be like, oh, Glup Shittos on the box art. I know that guy. I can't wait to see what that guy does. Or like this character summons something, so that card's gonna be crazy. Like,
How do
I
you
wonder
translate
what
to text? It's the same with universes too, right? All the characters coming out, like how do you represent their abilities, their style on character cards?
Yeah. So it's just like another thing that can build excitement, even in like
theory crafting.
Yeah, exactly.
With
Even
such a
before
new
you
game.
put
We
cards
sat
in
and
your
talked
hand.
about like what Blitzcrank is going to do as a champion for
forever.
like 30 minutes. And
Right.
we just, and it's so fun because it adds a layer of like the familiarity with the IP. And then where card design is going is just really cool. And everybody's doing something different now. And I love that.
Right.
Yeah. So are you also most excited for Riftbound, or is there something
So
else?
I have kind of a cop-out answer. I'll give you this.
Okay.
I think I'm excited for how card games are moving going forward. I think players are dealing with less of the, oh, here's this, deal with it. There's a lot more like vocal communities and things like that. But Riftbound, Cyberpunk, we backed the Kickstarter, Shard Bugs, Cookie Run. Like there's so many games that I could list off that I've played and I've had fun with that came out early and were what felt really complete. I think just like the progression of the ability for card games to actually pick up a little bit of steam, get their little communities has picked up a lot recently. And I love that as just somebody who's been doing this for so long. I've played card games forever. So when there's new ones I can try, and I'm like, I didn't just get a crap product. I got like a fun thing out of the box. I think that's so sick. And like, even when we used to talk about the big three for card games, it was always, oh, it's Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, well, One Piece might be in there
There are
now.
games that are reaching that
Gundam,
sphere. Like,
Riftbound. There's just so much cool stuff that keeps filling up I think that's my answer. I'm excited for the future of card games.
You're all
fair.
pretty.
Yeah,
you're all pretty.
I like them all.
We really are in like a trading card game renaissance.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure,
There
yeah.
is so easy to pop one up. Like Cyberpunk, there is such a big following for the game. Riftbound, there's such a huge following for League of Legends. All these IPs can come out and make their own game and easily raise a community out of it.
Correct. Yeah. And it's such the rising tides raise all ships is like a classic adage, and it really is the case because you even see in like smaller card games, not necessarily like that they are actually small, because UNIVERSUS on a whole is the smallest like legitimate card game probably, but things like Grand Archive, things like even to an extent for a little while, the like One Piece scene before it popped off.
Yeah, when it first got started.
Yeah, when it first got started, you see them going, well, what is our like niche? What is our edge in this market dominated by the big three? And it's, well, we listen to our community a lot more and we are less bloated as companies, so we can implement these changes a lot quicker. Like Grand Archive specifically has a lot of different, like, we listen to the community, we can implement this change immediately, and we have a bunch of different things going on at all of our events that matter to the players that are not just interfacing with the card game in one singular way.
Right.
Yeah.
So the onus on the big three also in that regard is to continually get better or improve on things that people have whinged about for a while that prior they didn't have to care about because they were the only fish in the sea. But now there's a million different card games that are all, the floor of those is so much higher than it ever used to be. Like every single one of those card games that you said, even if like throwaway name of like random card game coming out, I'm sure you've played the demo for a lot of these at like different events like Gen Con, Gamma, etc. And going to these events, playing the demos and being like, this is pretty competent and solid, and backing it, even if you like eat it and back something that doesn't live in your area.
Sure.
And you go, well, this was fine. I at least had fun playing this. And I can tell people, oh yeah, I did play this card game for a little bit and it was kind of cool, right? Like I get that excitability about everything at once in that regard. This isn't a paid actor podcast, but I'm the most excited about UNIVERSUS. Legitimately though, we had Terry from the Trading Post as well and myself went to LA recently for a Grand Archive event, and the entire weekend I was thinking about UNIVERSUS, which is a tough spot to be in when there's no one with a card in the entire venue. But also in that same vein, I was excited for like Pantheon that weekend because that was the debut of that format in Grand Archive, which is functionally just Commander, but Grand Archive, but put with a lot more like loving care. Like you were saying, like the floor of all of these things is so much higher in terms of what it could be in its onset. And UNIVERSUS specifically appealed to me, and I was most excited for it when I started playing because it's a card game for people who have played card games. It's really complicated, it's really hard, and it's super rewarding when you do well in it. And this new format, maybe it's like the rose-colored glasses of like post-rotation, the first format, we have a bunch of new cards that are powerful, and it pushed out a bunch of old cards, kind of forcing people out of the nest to play new stuff that they weren't considering prior. It's super cool. Like, it's deck building is really fun. Playing a bunch of new stuff is really fun and cool. And there's one small problem that we talked about an hour
but the
about,
post-rotation
but, you know.
itch is definitely there.
For sure.
And I feel like I've spent more time building decks, doing that kind of stuff, but like it's been great. And Godzilla itself is a very good set, so it's good to have.
Yeah, I think I've spent like the last 2 months being like, I cannot wait for rotation because I'm tired of seeing the same cards and I want new things. Like,
You're forced to play with everything new.
Yeah.
I say that as I'm playing the same exact deck that I played at Worlds, but it's fun. It's different. It's fun.
Speaking of different and fun, does anyone have any specific hot takes about trading card games in general right now? We've done a lot of like ooey gooey gushing, like talking about like, oh, everything's so fun and cool right now. I'm so excited about this, that, and the other thing. Is there anything that you really don't love or wish was different about the trading card game sphere in general? Can be from like a social media standpoint, content creator standpoint, from a playing competitively or casual standpoint. Anything that you just want to get off your chest.
I think there are a lot of people out there that like to gatekeep their games. And I've seen this in, I think, every card game, maybe besides Cyberpunk, because I've just recently got into the sphere and it's obviously like super new. But TCG players are very passionate people. They like their games, and the games that they don't like, they are very verbal about. So one thing for me specifically too, as like a content creator who's trying to do a bunch of different coverage on different games and play different games and not separate my channels and just keep it all into one, you have all these people who don't care about certain games and let you know about it. So it is this weird thing of like, they want to be tunneled into one thing, but don't have like the open-mindedness to try and like accept other things. And UNIVERSUS is one of those huge ones, for example, because it's such a small game and doesn't have the best rep throughout the lifespan of the game. So if you ever try to like suggest that they try it again, it's like, oh no, it's a trash card game. It's like, well, no, it's actually a very good card game. It just does have that the double-bladed edge of like, it's IP based, so if someone doesn't give a crap about the IP, they're not going to touch it. Or if they don't like anything about it mechanically wise, they won't touch it either way.
Right.
So yeah, TCG players are passionate. They let you know.
Be a
I wish
little,
they'd simmer down a little bit.
be a little less gatekeepy about it. It's also
the IP thing is so real because
Yes.
like I literally had friends quit the game because we rotated out of My Hero.
Right.
Like they were here for the 6 sets of My Hero and then they left.
Exactly.
And they have not touched the game
It
again.
gets people into the game, and it also gets people out of the game. It's unfortunate. But
And I mean,
it's just-
Magic's going through a similar thing with there's so many opinions on each UNIVERSUS Beyond, whether you love them or hate them.
and this year has more UNIVERSUS Beyond than original.
And it's crazy because they're doing that while they have also on the horizon one of the best years of regular Magic sets.
Right.
Yeah.
And it feels like it dilutes it down. Like Strixhaven is unbelievably cool. And I think original
I am
Strixhaven
so excited.
was kind of lucky that it didn't get to see more of a fruition because that set was not great, but it was cool. And now that feels like they're actually giving Strixhaven the run it needed.
Right.
And obviously they get a little bit of a cop-out when you put Demonic Tutor and
Yeah.
Ancestral Recall on cards. But I'll be honest, when I first heard opinions of it, people were like, do we like this? And I think overall it seems like people have enjoyed it or seem like they're going to enjoy it. But the set overall is just so cool. And it's interesting to be able to like go out and back. But it's nice to see Magic players excited about the Magic part too.
For sure.
So maybe that's my hot take.
Your hot take is
just make more good regular Magic sets. And that's not a hot take. That's the most lukewarm take I've ever made in my entire life.
It's a hot take depending on when the person hearing your take got into
Got
Magic.
into
Because if
Magic,
they got into it when it turned into Fortnite.
I got into it because of Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
That's when I started playing Magic.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
right.
So did about 20
A
million
lot
other
of
people.
people.
Yeah.
I definitely
certain
not alone.
times where, and this is why I feel bad for like the Star Trek fans at the end of the year, is I think if Star Trek was the first space Magic set that they've been coming out with, I think there'd be a lot more hype
Right,
behind it.
after Edge of Eternities,
But then we did Edge of Eternities, and we're like, oh, so this is what you guys could do when we go to space. There's Eldrazi, there's Slivers, there's Kavus. There's a bunch of this callback to old Magic, and now we get to see what it could be. You even added spaceships, things that we're all like, that's a little weird, but sure, we're here for
Right.
it. They work. They function. They seem pretty cool. They're vehicles with like a couple more steps, and nobody's really confused by it. But I think that changed how people are going to look at Star Trek.
Now
at the
they're
end
going
of
to
the year.
slap just all the IP over it.
If they had added spaceships in Star Trek instead of in Universe, I guarantee it would have been like a huge problem.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If Star Trek was the first time we saw spaceships, people would lose their mind.
Probably.
Absolutely. But since it was in Universe, they were like, yeah, why not?
This is great.
Weird but cool. Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, that kind of goes into mine. I'm not really a hot take because I think a lot of people kind of share this sentiment, but it's something that I think is important, is there's just too many products.
Yeah.
I think, so one thing that I really like about UNIVERSUS this year, and the upcoming, they mentioned it with Cyberpunk, is there are less main core sets. UNIVERSUS this year has 3 main sets and some auxiliary products. They haven't quite talked about the release schedule in Cyberpunk yet, but they have said that they are going to focus on more quality sets than quantity sets. And like, you don't have enough time to enjoy the cards before you have to go and get new ones.
Right.
I'm trying to remember exactly which 2 it was. I believe it was Lorwyn and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were like 30 days apart.
Yeah,
I think it was
very
less.
close.
It was like,
The
it was
turnaround
like,
was unbelievable.
correct. It was like, it was right around there. It was like 29, 30 days, like literally less than a month before the 2 sets came out. And that is like, one, not fiscally
Viable.
viable.
At all.
At all. Like, you just can't unless you're just buying the 2 singles from the set that you actually care about.
Yeah.
But I just like opening packs because I think it's fun, and I like gambling. I'll say it. It's fun.
Hot take. Hot take. Gambling is cool and fun.
Like gambling on cards
will
is
lose.
great, but when I have to gamble every month,
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
It's a little rough.
And
in multiple games, too.
Well, that's
Correct.
the other one. The product fatigue. I remember there was a release that was like One Piece, Magic, and Lorcana on the same exact Friday. And I'm like,
That's
I
Barbenheimer.
understand you are all big companies and you're like, I don't care. But like, pay somewhat of an attention
Right.
on your release dates. Like, you cannot overlap that much. It's unbelievable.
yep.
It's like Riftbound coming out the gate. They're doing 4 sets this year already. Like
Yeah.
they're not keeping a slow pace. 4 sets plus extra products like the lunar bundle, like extra stuff that you want to buy. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand a little bit with Riftbound, and I hope it kind of fixes itself because I know Riftbound is trying to catch up to the Chinese release schedule.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Which they
So-
are after Unleashed, I believe. Set 4 will be the first
Oh, that's pretty good.
simultaneous
Good,
release.
good.
Yeah.
So once we get lined up, I'm hoping that it kind of hits a bit of a more regular cadence. But yeah, like Magic having 7 sets this year is insane.
Yeah.
I have said they're going down to 6
But
next
it's-
year,
it's
but
still-
still 6 is crazy. That's
Yes.
every 2 months.
And
That's
it's 6
insane.
set releases with commander decks, not all of them, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not just like, here's your 200 and what card set. It is way more going on than that. There's always something special. There's the chase.
Their shtick, yeah.
Yeah.
The Infinity Stones.
With the Infinity Stones.
Yep.
Like, there's just something
secret
else going
layers.
on too. Yeah. And
Yeah.
all the secret layers. Like,
Yep.
it's crazy.
Continuously having to buy something, basically.
But I mean, like, and it's not just to dog Magic because like Pokemon does the same
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Pokemon has like I went to a Perfect Order pre-release, and then I swear 2 weeks later they were already doing pre-orders for whatever the next one, like Chaos, whatever. Like it's crazy.
Well, and so many Pokemon releases are, here's the set, here's the EX box, here's the are the UPCs? Is
Yeah.
that- yeah.
Yeah.
Which aren't as consistent, but it's not like their set is one release. It's this, it's the set, it's 3 boxes.
Probably going to cost like multiple products.
Sticker
And
collection.
then by the time
yeah,
you get
yeah.
all those, you're like, oh yeah, the next set's coming out.
Yep.
It's always something.
Yeah.
Right.
The product fatigue is so huge.
Yes.
And like, I think, to be honest, my hot take for people like us who just play a bunch of different card games, and it's something that I've had to come to grips with recently, is just having these other realizations that you guys have like bolstered in this conversation. I don't have time to play every single one of these card games. And I don't like being bad at cards. So
That's so real.
my hot take is be more comfortable with dropping games competitively. I still have together a deck for Flesh and Blood, for Cookie Run, for UNIVERSUS, for UA, for Magic, for Pokemon, for Yu-Gi-Oh! I have 7 or 8 decks together, and Terry's so excited that I didn't say 6 or 7 decks together. But I have like so many decks put together for so many different games, but I'd like literally Master Oogway, it's time to let go. Like I'm okay with only being competitively good at one game because I don't have time, especially when it's UNIVERSUS, because UNIVERSUS is really hard.
Yeah,
This
very.
game is really hard to be good at consistently if you don't practice, and you don't have time to do meaningful practice for your best game when you're also playing all these other games. Unless it's like your shtick specifically to be the guy that goes and plays the new card game for the first couple sets and does really well, and you just grind that, and you do the Ed, Ed and Eddie Jawbreaker scheme of going to Battle Spirit Saga and playing that for a year to make a bunch of money.
And I think that's
But,
what's been really cool about a lot of card games coming out. Grand Archive and Riftbound being in the same boat of where they were originally structured to be built as 4-player games, but I think you just run into the card pool thing immediately, and you run, okay, it's not going to be great for a little bit, but give it time.
It needs to be established first.
Yeah. Grand Archive waited 3 years, put theirs out, and I have not touched Grand Archive in a year before Pantheon. Pantheon came out, and I'm like, guys, can we play? I want to play.
Right. Yeah.
Because Grand Archive in the similar boat to UNIVERSUS is it's hard, and I was surrounded by people who were just way better than me, and I was like, I don't have time for this.
I'm not going to keep up.
But the second they're like, 4-player, and I'm like, I'm so in. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's nice when games, and I think that goes back to the point earlier of like, there's more care into these.
Yeah.
So it's
They want you to play in multiple different ways versus just like sweaty 1v1 the entire time.
For sure. And that being said, I guess, is there an innovation in terms of like card games in general, like maybe pushing more towards catering to both casual and competitive simultaneously, as opposed to backtracking and making one viable versus the other? Is there anything any of you specifically think that we could be, as trading card games, doing better in the future?
I think it really is just like my main point is pushing the multiple formats. Like, I'm so happy Riftbound has options to play.
Yeah. Because
not everyone wants to sit down and bust out a game where you think it's like one-sided the whole time, or it's like a hard, like sweaty match. You have these options to just sit down and basically like, who wants to play Commander, right?
Yeah.
Just like a pod of players that can do different things, play different games. I think these different formats, and it's hard for some games like UNIVERSUS, but I think these formats need to be pushed a little bit more. Like UNIVERSUS has tried they've done teams, which is still successful at events. They've tried the 3v3 format. They're trying different things, but with such a core group of players and not this huge audience, it is hard to push these because everyone is still just playing 1v1 for the most part.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the way that I see Riftbound specifically pushing these alternate formats simultaneously alongside the main format, it's not necessarily that they are as prestigious or like in the same vein. There's not like an event happening simultaneously that's of the same like valor or prestige, but you're earning the same like currency, so to speak. You're getting side event tickets.
Exactly.
You're using that for the promos that are worth something or for the things that people like.
Right.
And you're earning the same like parity of those things in these side events as you are. I think my problem with that is that eventually the wheels fall off that wagon, and either someone finds a better way or a more efficient way to grind side event tickets,
someone always will.
Or you don't have as much time to do that, or one of those formats comes into a bump in the road and it might not be the main one that they're supporting, so they don't get around to fixing it. Like, for example, at the first Riftbound event that I went to, one of the 2 side events that I played in that I cared about was like a 2v2 format. It was like two-headed giant almost, and they were still working out the kinks of that because it was in its nascent stages, but conceptually it was kind of fun and cool. I got less tickets for that, I think, than I would have if I did something else, but I did it because it was fun and because I had a friend that wanted to play it.
No matter what you go to, there will be those people. Like the 3 of us were at Houston.
Yeah.
There was the core group of people at that event that were just there to make money in like the most efficient way possible.
Yeah.
Not naming names. Which is like, that is just a community that exists within the TCG sphere, that it just happens, right?
But luckily, I don't think that's most of the cases.
Right.
No, for
Because
sure.
It
people
is not the
pay
majority for sure.
3 digits to go play at a Magic Con and sit and play Commander
Exactly.
All
for
weekend.
4 days straight.
People just
yeah.
like
And they
playing
have the
games.
best time of their lives, and I'm like,
Oh,
good for you.
100%.
Exactly.
Yeah,
For you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think that the point that I super agree with is they need to continually be pushing both of those formats as either equally important, or if one is less important because it's not competitive, it is still for a different vein of prizing. Like maybe if you were playing 4-player Riftbound the entire weekend, there's a specific promo that you can get.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you're playing competitive Riftbound the entire weekend, there's specific promos that you can get. And it's incentive-based performance stuff. And it's also performance stuff based on you came out and you supported the IP in the game that you enjoyed.
Yeah.
In UNIVERSUS specifically, Teams has like a storied history as you can be on cards with your boys. It's so sick. It's so cool. And we just haven't done that for so long since.
Right. Plus, it's easy for us when we are at events. Like our main events are separated, right?
Yeah.
So for the most part, you have your like normal main event, and then the next day you have teams or retro or whatever. So you only have like that section of top cut people who aren't able to play, but the rest of the community is still able to participate.
Exactly.
Whereas the Riftbound, where there's 2,000 people plus more like spectators and everything, everyone's playing the same amount of like simultaneously.
Yeah.
So they're able to support all of these different formats without having to like put one against the other.
Exactly. Grand Archive does that in a pretty reasonable way as well, especially considering the game was so competitively slanted up until Pantheon came out, where they have, I believe it's called Scrubbed Out of Steel, which is the I looked at Kyle for a lifeline, but it's apparently been too long for Kyle.
I didn't scrub out a steal. I'd always do well.
Based.
Don't
But
fact check that.
independently verified by Eli because
My
he's
one
hating.
source, yeah.
He's pocket watching.
Oh,
But
he's gonna roast me.
it's over. Yeah.
Be nice.
But I believe it is the event that is functionally another Swiss for the people who did not make day 2 of Swiss.
That's cool.
And
Yeah.
it is like for similar or comparable rewards.
Right.
And it's just a run back where you go, dang, I misplayed my winning in.
Just try
I want
again.
to try again.
Yeah.
And
That is cool.
they run it asynchronous to the main event.
Right.
So it is everyone has access to
You're
it
still
except for
gonna
the
play the
8
game.
people that are already in the money.
Exactly.
But did you have anything that you were thinking about for new card stuff?
Nothing different. I really agree with just the fact that we need, I think specifically some kind of like 4-player casual format in these card games, because compared to 4-player where you can get along with your friends, it's pretty easy to also introduce new people to because you can sit next to them and play with them. Casual 1v1s kind of suck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like like especially for like, I don't know, teaching new people is like the big one for me, because like I think it's like you think about the amount of people that have got into Magic because of Commander and stuff like
more
that.
than any other format.
I've never
Infinite.
played Magic outside of pre-releases 1v1.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always been
Correct. I will say that limited 1v1s.
And limited.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Limited.
Any limited format, draft, sealed, whatever, 1v1s, and that's cool. But like constructed 1v1s suck to play casually.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very important that these games going forward have that idea of, and I do think 4-player is probably just the best, because any more it goes too long, any less it doesn't seem balanced. But it's just important that that's there, because it just opens up the game so much, and it is kind of your pipeline into people playing competitively as well. If you're like, hey, I like playing this game enough, I may want to try to compete
Get a
at
little
it.
taste first.
Yeah.
Then you start getting those 1v1s in. And so that's, I really just agree with everything that you guys are saying, because it's like, it's the most
More
important
ways
to
to
me.
play, make the game better.
Exactly.
sure.
And I'm
Yeah.
gonna kind of piggyback off of the point you're making, where the casual 1v1s kind of suck, and I think it's because of where you even set the bar for that, right? You casual for us and casual for other people, vastly different.
Right.
Yep.
And I think games need to make better starter products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is cut and dry. Magic's best starter product is Commander. So it makes the barrier of entry the easiest, where they've made decks for Standard and Pioneer and Modern, and they are just like 40% of a real deck. They're not very good.
Right.
And then if they put too good of cards in it, the players just buy them because it's a cheaper way to get the cards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it sucks because it's really hard to do well. I will always give props to the Recollection decks, if you guys have heard of those, for Grand Archive. They are like new releases for pretty close to competitive decks that come with a box and sleeves and just like very good cards, and they're just self-contained.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Yu-Gi-Oh does it really well too, where they are like, so many Yu-Gi-Oh starter decks are spend $36 on 3 of these, smush them together, pick up some staples, and you're there. And I wish more games felt like that was there, because everybody has their starter decks, and then you open them and you go, are there exclusives? No, nobody cares.
I'll never touch these
Yeah.
cards again.
Literally, yeah.
And that is why, like, I just wish people put more care into their starter products. Make it, and it sucks because we are just in such a buyer market of like, well, if it's too good, it's going to disappear. But I
Right.
think just like print your starter products into the ground, make them always available. If you need to make a way that like it's tied to your LGS, where like you have to be playing to do it or something, as a company, reflect on what is getting people into the game.
Right.
Because if other companies come along and look and they're like, we can do this better, and they have a much easier entry, you're going to lose the people for that.
And you
It's-
can always
it's-
rely on other people getting people
Yes,
into the
yes.
game.
Yeah. I think I agree with you specifically a lot, because when you compare it to like UNIVERSUS, and this might be tied to a topic I'll bring up in a second, is like the demo experience for new games in general. But UNIVERSUS starter product has always kind of been not the best at like actually giving you an on-ramp to playing these cards in like competitive formats, because the game is complicated, right? So when you demo it at events, they give you like, sometimes they'll give you like non-IP branded like Zeus versus like Wukong
Yep.
randomly,
Sure.
and they don't teach you like half of the mechanics in the game, because it's hard to do that when you're just trying to catch the eye of someone who walked by and saw Donatello on a banner, right? But in general, when you see the other Clash products, like there was I think the best one in recent memory in terms of like actually the character in the box is playable and good is the Dark Deku starter deck.
Right.
Which
Well, those are, I guess,
Well,
challengers.
that's a challenger deck. I would say the
Yes.
best one so I think the Midori Bakugo ones were good.
Yeah.
But the Mirio Overhaul ones were
Yes.
And
for
then,
sure the best ones.
Toga
Toga
Ochako.
and Ochako.
Togo
right?
Ochako
Yeah.
were also very
And
good.
I think those were really good products in terms of like the closest thing that we can get to, like you were saying, a casual 1v1, but still casual 1v1 is kind of fake, right? Where like you sit there and you go, well, it feels really good to play exactly this card in this little brief glimpse that I get of what the game actually feels like. And that's the one card that all of the competitive players are ripping out of the starter deck and throwing the rest of the bulk away, right? So like getting to a point in Universes specifically where we have product like that, especially where we either lean one way or the other in terms of a card design space, making the game easier for people to pick up if you want to try and appeal to more people, or leaning into the fact that it is a card game for card gamers and going, this game's hard, here's a starter product that you can use that teaches you all the mechanics, that is good, that you can upgrade and play and not get your teeth kicked in, right? I think trying to split that difference is bad, and I think leaning one or the other is better.
And there's very easy ways. We're gonna keep using Universe as the example here, but like, why is Filled with Doubt not reprinted in every challenger deck or every starter deck? Like, there's this reprint the staples more. And I'm not saying to like reprint them into the ground, but like there are so many cards that it's like, no, just a bunch of people are gonna be playing this. Put Moment of Normalcy into starter decks. Put Filled with Doubt. Those are the two that just stand out so much in my brain. Put Airship into it. I don't care. Airship is way too expensive. I don't get it. And I know that they're taking a little step into that with the promos and the in-universe. Rebel Frontier, which I'm really excited for. And when they first talked about it, I was like, are we just getting a reprint set? And I was really excited. And then I heard what it was, and I'm like, I'm still pretty excited.
It's a possibility, though.
It is.
And it's not off the table.
Right.
But I think just like don't treat your customers like they are buying that product and that's where it ends.
Right.
Because if you look a step out of Deku being probably the best, Godzilla is probably the best challenger.
Yes, for
but
sure.
if you pick those up, Godzilla is a good example because you actually do get a lot of the way there.
Yeah.
But you can put the cards that are you can put Inspiring Song in every Godzilla. The cards that you're like, doesn't matter which version of this, you are going to be playing it, just put them in there or give sideboards or give something like that treats the customer like if they want to take that next step, it's there on the table for you. And if it's not, then you are just somebody who's going to play that with your friend at the kitchen table. Yeah. And both are fine, but just have the lifeline there. I think that's such a difference maker.
It's like how Magic reprints all the staples in their commander decks. Like it has the basics like Soul Ring and all this stuff. You can do the same with like the spam foundations that you see in every single deck on that symbol.
100%.
Put them and rebrand them.
Especially in the design space of Attuned, where like these are just staples that are on every deck that plays this symbol. Like Inspiring Song is a great example, where it's like if you have a starter deck product that has a character with a chaos symbol in it, and there is not Inspiring Song in it, you have failed.
Because there will be eventually.
There will be eventually. And at some point in time, when the environment of the small group of people that do play the game runs out of extra Inspiring Songs, that card's going to go up in price to be not something that...
Incubating.
Yeah.
Incubating is the perfect example of...
Horrifying realization. A bunch of these cards.
What happens when you just like don't have the chance to get it back and you're like, why is this common $5?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's hard.
Yeah, and especially in terms of like with Rebel Frontier, sure, it's a reprint or a retrain property that we could use to get some of these cards that are like meta staples or viable back into people's hands that were hard to get. But also, by virtue of being an IP-based game and having those IPs or licenses for a small amount of time, we can't reprint Botan's Coaching.
Nope.
It can't be in anything. We can't reprint Horrifying Realization with these people on it because it can't be in anything. So we need to make it more accessible somehow. And if not with this product, then literally what else, right?
Yeah.
But I think more along the lines of that is reprint product in general for games is just good, period. That's the end of the sentence. Where you go from there is like the happy castle, scary castle of reprint product is too bad for the secondary market sometimes when they do it poorly.
Remastered sets.
Yeah, remastered sets.
Or Rarity 2 would be the other good example.
Or we can't get reprint product because it's too good and people buy it immediately.
The
or
other
too exclusive.
95% of reprint sets. Reprint sets are very good. Historically, I think I named all the ones that I think are bad.
Yeah. I think like with Yu-Gi-Oh specifically, they did Rarity Collection a couple times, and like I think 2 out of 4 of them have been crazy, insane hits, and the other 2 have been misses for the opposite reason.
Well, Rarity 2 was the only one that was actively bad, and the rest were just like either incredible or good.
Yeah, 100%.
They don't miss very often, and they're always useful. I remember Modern Masters 1 coming out, and that was the most excited Magic was a much different game at the time.
Yeah.
But that was the most excited I've ever seen people for a set to come out, because Modern still to this day has dominated competitive play for Magic, and that's where everything has led into. But that was the big first change to get so many people into your game.
Right.
And when you drop the barrier, you get more people. It's
Easy.
just that simple sometimes, and it's just lean into it a little bit.
Yeah.
And speaking of getting new people into games in general, you guys have played and demoed and backed and whatevered infinite different card games, even in the past like 2 years.
Yeah.
What do you guys think is the most important thing in terms of the demoing experience? Like, in general, do you think it's boots on the ground, just being at the most amount of things, like being at PAX East, being at whatever?
Right.
Or do you think it's the physical demo experience itself?
We actually just did a video on this a little while back.
Yeah.
I'm a fake fan, sorry.
No, it's not
out yet.
It's not out yet.
Oh, I'm a real fan.
Spoiler.
Might be.
In my opinion, it's 100% the experience.
Okay.
Like, night and day, we were both at PAX East recently, and we did Riftbound demoing, but Universe demoing was also happening. And I've demoed for Riftbound, or I've demoed for Universes and Riftbound before. Universes at Gen Con, and Riftbound at PAX Unplugged, and now PAX East. And it's the experience is so different. Riftbound gives you the entire game. Their demo decks are insane. They have things like Dead Bloom Predators. They have Seals. Every deck has a way to pop off and do its thing.
Yep.
Like, you get to do crazy movement stuff with Yasuo. You get to go wide with Victor and play like +5 to everything, and it has the board wipe. It has Call of the Week.
That's dope.
Jinx has the crazy discard synergy, super early, score a bunch of points. Volibear ramps and
Yep.
kills you with a couple big units. It's such a fun experience, and everyone has that click moment.
Oh, yeah.
Like we talked about, like, people going, oh, I can move exhausted units with Yasuo, like, crazy.
Yeah.
Everyone has pop-off moments, and people, like, 95% of the time leave those demos enjoying the game or being like, I actually learned a cool new game. Universes, love the game. Demo experience, terrible.
hard.
Oh,
Yeah.
Terrible. It is, I get it. And I've had this conversation infinite amount of times with people. The game is super complicated. It is a game made for TCG players already.
Yeah.
But the experience where it's like, I'll play a card, I'll enhance, you'll enhance to then negate what I did with my enhance, and now block it or not. And then 2 turns later, it's the same repeated thing, and now you're like, oh, I just happen to not have the right block zone in my hand. I'm dead. Good job.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's attracting via the IP either. It's Attack on Titan at its most basic form. It's just like base cards, half of them are blank, and it's like early like manga art.
Yeah.
It's not cool, it's not popping art, it's just, I don't know. I could rant about this forever.
Back to the hot take section. The AOT art
I'm
is
sorry,
the
but
AOT art
yeah.
is bad. But
it's-
the early
yeah.
AOT art is not good.
It's so much about, I think Riftbound at Gen Con last year was maybe the best TCG demo experience I've ever had.
Yes, and it's gone way better too.
I waited 2 hours
Right.
and
Oh, yeah.
still left happy.
Now we're teaching
Yeah.
pods of 4 or 8 max.
Good.
They were doing whole
Yeah,
tables of
the
16.
whole room was full.
Yeah.
You waited in a line for forever.
Right.
And I was like, well, I want to learn it. I knew how to play it, but I want to do the demo.
Yeah.
But I think it's very much how you treat it. Riftbound
Yes.
treated it like it's the entirety of the game. And I think that's where Magic does it too. I think when your game is more complex and you do disingenuous demos that does not show the true depth of what you're like handing somebody,
Right.
they get a shock and then they go, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
Pass.
Yeah.
It just needs a little more oomph. Like
Yeah.
the universe demos just need a little extra spice. You don't need backups. You don't need assets or actions, but make the interaction between the decks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, make each character pop off versus I commit for -4 or +4 speed. Oh, well, I commit for +4
For sure.
damage.
Yeah, it's like we were talking about. It's the cool part about it is the interaction.
Right.
And there are, like you were talking about, those like, oh moments, or like those, oh, I get it, this is so
Yes.
sick, I can do this thing moments, where like one of the coolest things that someone had told me about Universes that I like was already playing it at the time, but this was like very one of those simple adage, like live, laugh, love. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Where someone was like, it's a conversation with cards.
That's
in
how
the
I explained it in my
enhanced
demos.
And I was
It's
like,
a conversation
and I was
between
like,
players.
And I was
Yeah.
like, bars. That's crazy.
Yes.
And so much of the demo experience is made up by like, if the volunteer teaching you it is passionate about
Right.
it. And you
Yeah.
can very much tell when, like, not to shit on Bandai, but you can very much tell when a Bandai rep has played a bunch of the other Bandai games and kind of knows how to play the one that they're demoing for you,
Right.
because it's the new Bandai slop. But I like Union Arena because it's simple-ish, and I enjoy that there is some amount of stuff that you can do to mitigate like the randomness and yada yada. And also I keep randoming into my favorite IPs or decks being good. So, you know,
That's
get
fair.
better,
Yeah.
like better things, I guess.
Didn't you lose the Code Geass the other day?
Anyway, but when I was demoing UA for the first time, learning how to play the game, it was part of like the Gen Con rat race of just running around and getting promos.
Right.
And
Which people
I-
still do.
Yeah. And I
RE
eventually-
promo people, like maybe 30% of the people demoing are just there for
Just
the
for
RE
the
promos.
RE
For
promos.
sure.
Yeah, and I did definitely sit down with the intention of just clocking in, getting my thing, and leaving.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be doing this a couple times this weekend, anyways, because I'm a degenerate, I will actually learn how to play this game. And the guy teaching me how to play the game did not care at all, did not explain anything. And if you're familiar with Union Arena, I'm going to pretend that you are, so that we can. I
love
put I love Union Arena. But I had my energy line set up, and they didn't explain that you were supposed to keep dudes there, and they were just, the last thing that they had said was you can promote units and then attack. And I went, okay. And so I pushed my 0 up, drew no more 0s, and went, how do I pay for anything else ever again? And they go, you have to play more 0s. And I go, I don't have those. And they go, you can AP draw. And I do that, and I go, I didn't draw one. And he goes, wait a turn. And I went, I'm leaving. But
Yeah.
a lot of it is just if someone cares about
Yeah,
it.
that's
But
fair.
how have your demos for, or like, I guess learning in general, the new Cyberpunk game been?
Yeah, I mean, no, Cyberpunk was really easy because, I mean, they sent us the full kit. It was like basically a starter deck. It was 2 starter decks that you could play against each other. And it had like a QR code that had all the rules and everything on it. So that one was pretty easy because, like I said, the starter decks are pretty basic. So, like UNIVERSUS, it's not... I assume it's not the full extent of the game.
Yeah.
But it's enough that you get the general idea. I think the problem with UNIVERSUS, though, is our game is just so complex that not giving the full experience or watering it down like that just makes it boring.
Yes.
100%.
Yep.
And because you're like, I will play this 5 diff. I will check a 5. Would you like to block?
Right.
I'll do it again.
Yeah.
And that is
Which
the
is just
and
not
then
how
you
the
do
game
that
is.
for an
Yeah.
hour.
And I've had so many people look at those decks and be like, oh, these are numbered, huh?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you
Coincidentally.
boil it down to that, you are literally not exaggerating, not hyperbole, skipping 30 steps in
Yeah.
between.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you are skipping 30 steps of the real game in between that.
Yep. Whereas with Cyberpunk, it was kind of like the full extent of a limited thing could be. You have, you know, all of your cards. You have different types. You have like all 4 card types. You have the units, the programs, the gear, and the legends. And so you get like all 3 legends. You get multiple different abilities to keep track of. You get to do the different steps of choosing what cards you want to sell, choosing what cards to attack with, and things like that. And so it just like anytime that you can give more of as much of the game as possible without overwhelming someone, I think is definitely the best option. And I feel, and this is where I kind of go back and forth with UNIVERSUS, is because I feel like it's hard to give people that without overwhelming them,
Yeah.
because there is
There's
so
a
much in
fine
our game.
line. I do agree.
If
Yeah.
you give them attacks that I guess it's maybe not as bad now that we have blitzes, but back in the day, if you give them attacks that have enhances and foundations that have enhances and a character that has enhances and responses, and it's like it is. I mean, they used to talk about the mental load a lot.
Yeah.
For a new player, especially someone that doesn't play card games, that is like impossible to teach in
for
an
sure.
hour.
Yeah.
And so I don't. It's a very fine line. I
Yeah.
find it hard to criticize them for making a watered down like
Demo experience. Yeah.
when it's almost impossible to give a full fledged one.
For sure. And
So-
like a part of that really also is like you were talking about earlier, there are so many games coming out and so many things in general right now that are like vying for your attention in the attention economy of like new card games and stuff like that. And UNIVERSUS demo experience being the first thing that people see and it being so bare bones and watered down leaves like the aftertaste of, okay, well, why would I revisit this or why would I care about the
Right.
full game when
Yeah.
the base game was so blank and nothing?
Especially
And-
when like the demos that exist don't have anything to do with current IPs too.
Correct.
AOT is still a current IP.
Yeah.
But at the UNIVERSUS booth, it's all King of Fighters, it's Guilty Gear, it's Godzilla. That's what people are
Yep.
hyped about when they walk by and see it. And
you
then
do
they
an
sit down
AOT.
and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't care about Attack on Titan. I know it's probably a ton of work to pump out a new demo deck every time but you have art if it's the same
Yeah.
abilities and you
It's-
could just reprint them. I don't know.
It's very much so. I have lot of demo experience. I have demoed almost every card game you can think of, but then I also demoed board games for Ultra Pro. I was on their demo team for a while.
Yep.
And it's very much a point you touched on of how is the person teaching you feeling about teaching you.
Right.
Yeah.
And you referenced it too, where if it's bad, it's bad. But I think in UNIVERSUS case, you cannot have one demo deck that teaches everybody. It does not work.
Yeah.
Because if you sit down and you go, what's your TCG experience? If they're brand new, yeah, maybe they are going to use the AOT ones.
Right.
And maybe if they are they've played Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon this, you go, okay, we got the King of the Fighters, we're going to step it up a little bit.
I love that.
And you can get anybody excited about anything if you're excited.
For sure.
Yep.
I would demo this like blackjack spelling game that for years they never had people, and I just like had fun, actually treated it like it was something that people care about, and people had a blast. So it's very much what you do with it. And UNIVERSUS does get stuck in a box of, I feel like it took me a month to really feel like I knew what was going on.
That's fair. Yeah.
But there needed to be something different between the AOT demo and then asking people to join the pre-release and then having their opponents teach them how to play.
Right.
Yep.
Because that's what we did. And I'm not saying I don't want to do that. I am always going to advocate for new players. I'm always going to be a resource if they can. But there was matches where neither of them really knew what was going on. And I'm like, okay, we'll help you. And so it took away a bit from the player experience for the experienced player to help the new players. But I don't think that's, like, again, doesn't bother me. I do think that there is a bit of a different step you can take.
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah, I think the most important thing you talk about when we talk about like being excited about demoing a game, I think it's very hard to be excited to show someone a game when you know you're showing them the worst version of it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. It's very beaten down and like, I'm tired, boss. I'm just
It
fucking
can come off as so fake to the
for
people
sure.
that will catch that.
Yeah.
You know?
But speaking of like real authentic passion for games and stuff like that, I think the last thing we'll have time to talk about and something fun to end on is, in general, overall, what is your favorite card game of all time? Kyle, do you want to start?
We're going opposite.
We're mixing it up. Yeah.
All right. I think my true heart says that it's Force of Will, which if you know anything about that game, you will go, why? The first 2 blocks of Force of Will are some of my favorite card game moments in history. And I have never seen a game fumble the bag more than that. And Battle Spirit Saga died in 2 years, right? When I tell you they answered the Magic question of, well, I don't want to get mana screwed. They had good art styles. They had really unique, like, the cards were gorgeous. They were really making good advances. And Riftbound kind of saw this earlier. I saw a lot of internet people being like, oh, why they got to ban stuff so fast? If you are a company and you are looking at your players being upset at stuff, I'm not saying ban everything, but at least listen a little bit.
You have to listen.
Yeah.
There was a card called Reflect Refrain that lasted way too long, to the point where the game store that I used to work at, we had our own store ban list that card was on. That was the only card, because people wanted to not play with it so much that we just were like, our locals, we won't have it. But the highs of that game were so high. There were so many cool moving pieces that if you played Magic, just transferred so easily. Like, they had really cool, like, there's an enchantment that you get back from your graveyard and turn something into a zombie. And there was something that was a zombie lord, and you could do all these cool, like, little combat tricks.
Necrolance, my beloved.
There was something about it that just, it encapsulated a lot of positives from a lot of card games.
Okay.
The game, admittedly, if you played it, it was broken. It was so powerful. Everything was, but it wasn't until certain things that they just did not answer. It was, we were all doing the powerful thing. And I have never gotten more people to get into a new card game and stick with it for that long. We used to have 28 players every single Friday night playing Force of Will, where it was so many of their first card games. And it was like a moment that I'm like, man, I wish I could go back and like do that again, because it was awesome. It was unbelievable. It was so cool.
Yeah. What about you?
I think for me, it does just have to be UNIVERSUS. I mean, it, like we've said a couple times, it's a card game for card gamers. Like, there is just so much depth when it comes to the actual game. Especially when I got started, when we still had like enhances on attacks and stuff like that. It's just like the level of expression that you have in the game of how you want to do a turn, and the adaptability that you have to have throughout a turn as well, reacting to what your opponent can do and the different options that they may have. It's more than just do they have the counter spell or something like that. It's like, do they have, how much of their interaction are they willing to use on this piece, so that way I can make sure my next few pieces continue. And it's just like that. It's like chess as cards almost.
Yeah.
It's
because a lot of the complexity is on the board already.
Yes.
You like look at it and you're like, well, I have to beat that.
Correct.
What's next?
Yes, there are very few hand traps. There are, Genkai's Guidance, Filled with Doubt are like the main ones.
Yeah.
And so other than that, other than being like, well, if they have it, they have it, which is kind of like the answer, unless you have your cancels, you get to just look at the board, look at your board, and be like, all right, I see every possible enhance that they could press here. What do I have to press to make sure that I win?
Right, exactly. Solving the puzzle with all the pieces in front of you.
And that's like, people are like, why do you play Control? Because I like to solve the puzzle.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what the game
And
is.
obviously, a lot of our viewers are going to be UNIVERSUS players, but if you have not played it and you think you are good at card games, it's
humbling.
So
Try it.
humbling. I punted so hard at our last event, and I don't know if I've done that since I have been like a human with a frontal lobe that bad, and I just thought about it for like the next 3 days. I'm like, it was there. I saw it, and I just went, no, we're good.
Yep.
It's so humbling. But if that is what you're craving, you can't match it.
It's so rewarding when it goes when it's good. It's so good.
Highs.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm gonna have to go with the My Little Pony trading card game.
Okay.
My favorite.
Fantastic. Friendship is magic.
True. I couldn't choose between that and Altered.
Never mind.
R.I.P.
That was so soon.
Altered was a cool concept.
Yeah.
It was a cool concept. No, I'm probably gonna cop out, but it's got to be between UNIVERSUS and Riftbound.
Sure.
Because my TCGs under my belt are much smaller than the rest of you. I've only tried 5 or 6, not 6 or 7, 5 or 6. I'm sorry.
I had to get one in. Sorry, Terry. My hands were tied.
I like both games for very different reasons. I like UNIVERSUS because of a bunch of the different IPs. I'm an insanely huge Critical Role fan. So when I started, soon after the Challenger decks got announced, and I'm like, holy crap! Like I randomly jumped in this because of My Hero Academia too. So, and then I fell in love with the system. It was really cool. And then everyone's like, UNIVERSUS is your first trading card game. I'm like, yeah. They're like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're crazy. And I'm like, I guess so.
You are either
There are success stories. He's right here.
I'm terrible at the game. I'm terrible on purpose. I don't try. I could probably. I've top 32'd before with Godzilla. No crutch. No crutch. So I like UNIVERSUS and I like Riftbound because it was like my first step. I guess Magic kind of was, but that's just like a for fun game. Yeah. I'm not really trying to push content for that. But Riftbound was kind of my first step into a bigger content space for a game. It's a huge pond and there's a lot of big fish in it.
Yeah.
And I'm just here like somehow getting a creator box and stuff already, and you guys getting into the creator program. Like it's awesome. And it feels really cool to be a part of, especially coming into a game at the beginning. Same with Cyberpunk.
Yes.
You can't do that with Magic. Magic is insanely overwhelming. UNIVERSUS is the same, especially if you're trying things like retro.
Yeah.
It's now that there's a bunch of new TCGs coming out, you can jump in frame one and become a part of it and help shape it, especially like Cyberpunk. Like all these games listen to community feedback. So I'm gonna just go UNIVERSUS.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you've never gotten in at a card game from the early stages, do it.
Getting
if
it
one gets you slightly excited.
Right.
Back at
Try
Kickstarter,
it.
just try it.
Yeah.
I think that's why I've played so many games. Is just I've started with so many games.
Getting into UNIVERSUS and getting into Riftbound were two insanely different experiences.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I think not necessarily like a cop-out answer because I'm like on a card, right? Like UNIVERSUS is really cool. I like that game a lot. I could wax poetic about when it's good, yada, yada. But I think unironically, one of my favorite card games of all time is just Yu-Gi-Oh! For like a sentimental reason.
Sure.
I was the first one that I started with. It's something I watched on TV growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
It's very easy, looping back way earlier when you were talking about how sometimes people are gatekeepy about stuff and whatever. In terms of the big three, like back in the day, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the redheaded stepchild. People were oh, Yu-Gi-Oh! Players smell, Yu-Gi-Oh! Players steal. They do, but like, you shouldn't say it.
And that's not unique to you.
And that's not unique to Yu-Gi-Oh!
Not at all.
But like, the game itself is like, maybe I'm an ADHD kid, maybe I just like pressing buttons, but hyper speed, like interaction and like nuclear powered rocket tag of if I don't interact with this specifically profitably within this window, I lose. You can see that with like higher powered formats in Magic and any other card game where the cards are just like broken, like Force of Will. I think that playing with power is super sick. Like being able to go, hey, I'm going to kill you this turn if you don't stop me, and you going, bet, and like holding something up for that,
Right.
and me knowing about it, playing around it, winning anyways, or not, and getting punished for it, I think that's super sick. And I just like games that go relatively quickly, or that there is a lot of interaction happening in the span of the whole game. And Yu-Gi-Oh's main like formats for the longest time have all been about, if you're going first, make a board that says your opponent can't play, and if you're going second, stop them from doing that on turn 0, or play enough good cards that break through that anyways.
Gotcha.
That it's a very interesting play pattern that a lot of other games just don't have. And if people are gatekeepy, like you're saying, most people won't try it.
Right.
Because it's like,
Right.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards are paragraphs. And it's like, well, yeah, sure. But realistically speaking, compared to universes, compared to Magic, compared to everything else, there's the same amount of rules. There's the same amount of interactions, generally speaking. They just happen immediately, as opposed to over the course of multiple turns.
And Yu-Gi-Oh's been, to me, the only successful non-real resource card game that we may have ever had.
Yeah, 100%.
So to like, they have mainstream success with the shows and things like that, but we haven't had a show in quite a while.
Yeah.
And we haven't had one that grabbed like the original Yu-Gi-Oh.
Right.
Correct.
So it's Yu-Gi-Oh would be in my list too. It's just really cool to have that one actual outlier where you teach a lot of card games by talking about other card games. Everybody does it as much as you don't want to.
The amount of times we
Yu-Gi-Oh!
said not tap.
Yes.
Exhaust.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
exhaust. Yeah.
We all do it, but Yu-Gi-Oh has always stood alone in that. So I think it's just cool that they've been that design space and just like, no, we're gonna keep doing it. So.
For sure. But
Absolutely.
we've talked a lot about card games in general. We're going to keep doing that in the future. Thank you guys so much for being on.
thanks
It was
for
a ton of
joining
fun.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to plug your socials?
Sure. Yeah. Again, I'm Brodenkainen. I do TCG content for Universes, Riftbound, Cyberpunk. I do some Magic silly bits here and there. And yeah.
Yeah, and I'm James from Response on Play. We do all kinds of content as a group, and it's a lot of fun. Find us everywhere on socials at Response on Play.
Nice. And if you guys liked what you saw, make sure you like the video, subscribe down below, and turn on the notification bell, because we'll have a lot more coming for you. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Come on by the Trading Post.